9. On Morning Report, the Māori Land Court has rejected an attempt to stop the Department of Conservation dropping 1080 on the Russell State Forest in Northland. 2 Northland men, Hayward Brown and Riki Ngatoki, sought an injunction to stop the poison drop, arguing that the land was subject to Māori control and DOC did not have consent. But the court said the forest is Crown land and the court had no jurisdiction to make a ruling. Forest and Birds Northland advocate Dean Baigent-Mercer says the Russell Forest needs pest control urgently. And he's with us now in the Auckland studio. Kia ora.
Kia ora, good morning, Kim.
What's urgent about it?
Well, this forest hasn't had pest control since 1995 on a large scale. Since possums arrived in Northland in the 1960s, they've invaded every corner of the north, and they have been chomping their way through Russell State Forest and many other forests, and it's on a state of collapse. Kaumātua in the north can remember, who are Kaumātua in their 70s and 80s, can remember seeing their very first possum. And at the time they were children, the forests there were full of pigeons, kiriru, kukupā, as we call them in the north, and those forests that were full of possums in a single human lifetime have now become full of these forests that were full of pigeons have now become full of possums. They're nearly silent. And we released footage shot from helicopter about 10 days ago of a Russell State forest, and it's in a high state of collapse with trees dying all over the place.
So when you say that there's no real pest control done for the last 23 years, why not, one would have to ask?
Well, you could ask that about many Northland forests. In this case, there was kind of an arm wrestle that went on between the department, various officers in the Department of Conservation about whose responsibility it was not. They didn't really want to deal with the political hot potato after some 1080 was dropped in the wrong area in 1995, and so they kind of stepped away from it. And
that wouldn't have helped.
Not at all. And so the bad blood just kind of continued.
And you don't think that there is a case for saying that the land is subject at least to some Māori input?
The recent court action as part of a kind of a pattern of groundless cases that are put forward as a distraction to try and stall 1080 operations to save the forests. And it comes at a huge cost to the forests because right now the birds have been making nests and laying their eggs, and every night means that more of them get targeted. So I'm not really sure that the court action was really aimed at saving the forests and supporting those original inhabitants of this country.
A small linguistic question. Did you say that kiriru are called kukupā in the north?
They certainly are. That's Ngāpuhi dialect. Yeah.
That is interesting. All right, so you don't have any qualms about dropping poison in that forest?
No, I personally don't. I've used 1080 myself twice on my own land. I know how it works. And it's the only tool that we have that can kill rats and possums, possums take about 8 hours to die. And as they're stumbling around, heading back to their dens to die, they're attacked by stoats, ferrets, weasels and feral cats, who also die. So it is the only pest control tool that we have that can be used over vast areas that can knock down all the worst offenders at once within 3 days and 3 nights.
Forest and Birds Northland advocate Dean Baigent-Mercer, thank you. It's 4 minutes to 9 now.
Just some breaking news.